And good afternoon, everybody. It's Friday. Oh, you just gonna stand up?
Yeah.
Hey, as the young folks would say, it's about time to turn up. Because WBCP Talking Sports turns 10 years old today.
10? Y'all have done a great job.
It's,
But it took us 10 years to get the t-shirts.
yeah, it's on like a pot of neck bones, I'm telling you, folks. Tonight we're gonna be at the American Legion, Post 559, 708 East.
North.
North. 708 North Hickory Street in Champaign from 6 to 8. We're gonna be down there. We're gonna have some food. We're gonna have some giveaways. We're gonna have some good conversation. Of course, we're gonna talk sports. So be sure and come on down there at 6 o'clock tonight. American Legion, Post 559, 708 North Hickory Street in Champaign. I'm Sergeant Rock. That's Joe. I've been turning. Pass me my orange juice.
There you go.
Yeah, I've been turned up already. That's Michael Cox. Joe Stovall will be here real shortly. Here's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to do a whole lot of heat bashing. I don't know about y'all, but I will. Not hating, just bashing. Also, Pat Riley, he had a, what they call exit interview with all the players. I guess 14 of them can opt out of their contracts or becoming free agents. So he had a meeting with those. We'll tell you what went on there. The Patriots might have the Jets playbook. Belichick's at it again. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Also, the Patriots also have been added to the Aaron Hernandez's lawsuit. They don't want him to get that bonus. I didn't think the Patriots were going to pay him that anyway. Anyway, what else? An 11-year-old golfer.
She's playing well.
She's playing now, isn't she?
Yeah, that's on now.
11 years old. She has a chance to make the U.S. Women's Open. Wouldn't that be amazing?
I watched a little bit of it yesterday, and they were keeping it straight.
All right, what else we got here? And Jim McMahon has opened up about his problems with concussions, dementia, and suicide.
We got a couple moments of silence, too.
Oh, yeah, and Tony Gwynn, the great Tony Gwynn, passed this week.
As did Chuck Noll, coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Get out of here.
Yeah. And for everybody in radio, Casey Kasem finally passed away, too.
That's a different story. You know,
Yeah, I know.
they did that man just totally wrong.
Casey Kasem, yeah, they did.
They did him just totally wrong. Anyway, we got all that and more coming up on this edition of Talking Sports. We're about to turn up. You stay tuned.
Welcome back. Talking Sports WBCP 1580. You versus.
What?
99,
Thank you, Mike. What?
5, 6,
UPTV channel.
That's 6.
6.
Right, but you versus is
99. Well, see, you
not.
didn't,
It's not what.
You didn't start off saying that though. You just said
You versus.
Yeah, man. Come on, dude.
If you've been together for 10 years.
He's been up since 7:30.
No,
Here, I'm sorry. He's been here since 7:30.
I've been up since 6:30
Last night.
this morning.
Oh.
Oh, wait, because we got to be, you know, today is, you know, our thingy. We turned 10 years old. You know, we got to be coordinated.
Uh huh.
So here, man, put your T-shirt on.
It was first,
Man, I ain't putting this little old T-shirt on, man. Are you crazy?
it was first come, first served, dude.
I see. They don't have me in this half shirt.
You can't.
It's a medium.
Well,
And man, I'll be protruding through the material.
Oh, hell, we don't
Got
want
me looking like old stripper girl.
We don't want that.
Yeah, thank you.
No protruding.
Hey. Yeah, turn the duck around. He'll get all excited too.
I know. Here,
Oh, so you gonna give me another one?
here, try that.
What, we gonna put two together to make one? I'm from WWBCP.
Try that one on. Was that big enough?
Yeah, this is big enough.
All right.
I'll try that one on.
We're going to be giving these away later on tonight, folks,
I'm gonna give mine away too.
at American Legion Post 559 at, what time? 6 to 8 o'clock. Be there.
You have been up too long.
I know it.
You said what
the
time?
Legion, that's behind the post office on Neal Street.
708, 708, or 704. One of them. Knock on both doors. Somebody will let you in.
You know the Legion over there off the railroad tracks out Hickory.
So
Yeah,
we got
That one, you don't need no address.
we got T-shirts we're giving away. We got
Game worn jerseys, folks. We can give these away. too.
CDs to give away.
We'll sign them.
No autograph.
Autographed game worn jerseys.
Right.
Giveaway.
Moneymaker.
Sell them.
Sell the autograph, give the T-shirt away. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm telling you.
How long you been up?
10,
Pickett's Chicken.
10:30.
Chicken, picket.
You know, Pickett's Chicken is kicking.
Kicking.
They're a couple of doors down. They're getting our vittles ready for us.
Finger licking.
Oh, it's not gonna be all. And we got a cake.
Oh, cake. There's always a party when you got cake.
Yeah, it's not a party unless you have cake.
Is that how the?
That's how it goes.
Thanks for correcting me.
And you know, and I'm drinking my orange juice already. That way I ain't gotta chase Jose Cuervo when I get down. No, I'm just playing.
You just set your base, your foundation.
I
Exactly.
didn't take a whiff of it, so we don't know what's in there besides orange juice.
I'm taking a whiff of it right now.
Okay.
Trust me. It's-
Hey, I would like to ask if anybody at the Legion's listening, turn the air conditioner down. Make sure it's nice and cool when we get in there.
Yeah,
Because it's sticky hot outside.
it will be.
all right.
I trust the good folks
I
at
do too.
559. And I just want to say congratulations once again to you two
For what? What we did?
for today.
Oh, thank you. And congratulations to you.
Thank you. Just keep tossing bouquets.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
At least he's not calling his wife
anymore.
anymore.
Right.
Who did that?
Last week, he said, I'm going to toss a bouquet to my wife and looked at you. Never mind. Just go on and read it.
You're right. Right now he got 3 brain cells. And they're
Two of them are napping.
right. They're over there. They got a little drool spot going down.
I'm like, what the hell? I didn't get no bouquet last week.
And that red light's going off in his brain again.
All right, let's get on with this show, man.
It's smoking.
We got things to do.
We got sports to talk.
We gonna party. I mean, we turning up.
Oh God, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
You've been bit by the youth bug.
Yep, that's my phrase for today. We turning up.
Well, my phrase today is look, jive turkey. I ain't no sucker.
All right, it's time to do some heat bashing. Let me be the first one.
Go ahead.
Because you know all them fair weather heat fans out there.
Yeah, it is a lot of them.
A lot of fair weather heat fans out there.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? I'm going to tell you what happened. The first quarter of Game 5 of the NBA Finals, the Spurs came out like Muhammad Ali. They roped and doped him.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. They just got there. Then they hit him one. Then they hit him one.
And the Heat were doing what?
Stop him, please.
They was up there. He was up by what, 17 points at one point in the first quarter.
Oh yeah.
But the old feisty Spurs, they just managed to stay within striking distance. You know, they get a basket here, come up by 15 points. Get a basket here, you're 13 down. Get a basket here. Oh, enter the first quarter. Come out the second quarter. Get a basket here, you're 9 points down. Get a basket here, you're 7 points down.
He did some of that weird math again.
Right.
From 13 to 9.
Nice.
Oh, I did say a few baskets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you did.
Pay attention, students.
Yes, sir.
It's tough.
And by midway in the second quarter,
Sir, can I be excused?
and by midway in the second quarter, Spurs take the lead and never look back.
Yeah.
And you can see the expression on LeBron's and Dwayne's face. It's like, oh, here we go again.
LeBron's over on the bench rubbing his head.
Here we go again. And come the end of the night, 15-point defeat. Spurs, NBA champions.
For the 5th time.
For the 5th time.
Cinco.
And the Heat wondering what they're going to do this offseason, what they're going to do next season. Pat Riley has already met with the entire squad because they got something like 14 players that can opt out of their contracts or becoming free agent. What the hell's a president to do?
Oh, he told them. He told every one of them what they need to do.
Looking back, obviously, the The Spurs, you have to give your kudos to them and applaud them for winning the championship, 5th one in 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
You have to applaud the way they won it. You always, everybody talks about the big three. You got to have that, but they, since '99 to now, they've always been able to find 2 or 3 guys here, 2 or 3 guys there that they can plug in to their system, and it's like a well-oiled machine. It just continues on. In defense of the Heat, let's go back to 2010 when LeBron James and Chris Bosh came to South Beach. 4 straight title appearances. In the modern era, and when I say modern, I mean talking about obviously today, that's unheard of. Back when 60s with Celtics and Lakers dynasties battling then, in the 80s with the Lakers, Celtics, and the Detroit Pistons battling back then. Then in the 90s when the Bulls.
Excuse me.
But we hadn't seen that, in a long time.
In a long time. But it happened. Mm-hmm. Like you said, 4 straight appearances.
And you win 2 out of the 4.
2 out of the 4.
And if you really look at those 4 years, the one disappointment has to be the first one when they lost to Dallas.
Right.
Because if you're an objective fan like we are, the San Antonio Spurs, I said to Mike back before they even got to the finals, the Heat would have had to play 4 perfect games to beat the Spurs. And the Spurs, it wasn't that they were on a mission for that series. The Spurs were on a mission when they lost Game 7
last year.
Before going any further, we got a phone call, 359-9227.
Oh, well, we had one.
It's already gone. Well, call her. Gone.
Yeah, call us back.
Call us back. 359-9227. We'll get you on the air.
Probably a Heat fan. They got to say, they got to say something.
But like I said, if you look at it in terms of why LeBron and Bosh came to South Beach, they did accomplish that, which was titles. They got 2 out of 4. But now you say, what does the president do? That's a tough one.
Pat Riley would like for them to stay.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron, he's going on vacation. He's taking the kids.
Take a week to think about it.
Yeah. Wade, he just didn't talk at all.
Right.
And Bosh, hey, please don't get rid of me.
The third wheel.
Yeah, I want to stay.
My question to you.
What?
What would you do, A, if you were Pat Riley, and B, if you were LeBron James? I'll pose that to both of you.
Okay, if I was Pat Riley, I don't know, all 3 of them are subject to make $20 million apiece next season.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can afford that. That'll leave us with enough in the salary cap. We might be able to go get somebody out there to help. Mm-hmm. But personally, I'll let Bosh go. Okay. And go out and get me, me somebody else. If I'm LeBron James, I'm packing my bags. I'm taking my talent to whoever gonna pay me the most money.
So you'll be hired.
Shores of Lake Erie.
We got a caller. Go ahead, Heat fan.
That was for you.
Oh, it's for me?
Yeah.
Work never ends.
Right.
But that's what I would do.
Right. What about you, Mike?
Well, if I'm Pat Riley, I'm gonna do what Pat Riley I've been doing my entire basketball career, and that's taking care of business. I mean, I think if you ask anybody in the NBA, player, general manager, president of the club, whatever, you can go to 10 championship series and you only get to win half of them.
Right.
They take it in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
I think LeBron. Well, I'll answer Pat Riley question first. He's going to do what he did when he was coaching the Lakers. He's going to do what he's done since he's been at the Heat, and that's just let everything settle down. Okay, LeBron, this is what you're going to get paid. What's your stake? We can win more championships, which is some of the stuff that he was talking about last night or whenever it was, night before last. Everybody just needs to settle down, get a grip. And if you ain't man enough to stay here and play through it, go out that first door you see type of thing.
Okay.
If I'm LeBron, I know I can win more championships in Miami. Because who's not going to want to come play with me, the best player in the game right now?
Right.
And, you know, I guess this will tell you a lot about if LeBron, Bosh, and Wade are truly in it to win championships. You know, if push comes to shove and they got to take less money, will they do it? If they do it, well, okay, then maybe it is about winning championships.
Well, we're going to find out from this caller, 359-9227, 359-9227. Caller, Talking Sports, you're on the air.
First of all, I think Bosh is leaving, period. Bosh is not staying with Miami. LeBron will stay. Wade's going to stay because Wade's been there his whole career. But Bosh is not staying. Bosh is gone.
Okay.
I concur.
What do you think LeBron is going to do?
LeBron's going to opt in. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. This is like, they can always get somebody to come in and play with Wade and LeBron.
Now, speaking of that, you know, there's been rumors that Carmelo Anthony is rumored if all three, Bosh, Wade, and LeBron opt out, they can reduce their salary and have enough money available to bring Carmelo Anthony down. A, do you think that's going to happen? And B, do you want to see that happen?
Well, one, I don't think it's going to happen because Carmelo has to have the ball in his hand. Number two, Eric Spoelstra, he's a decent coach, but he can't handle all those egos, you know. And when you're talking about someone like Carmelo, friendship only goes so far when you start looking at legacies and the whole 9 yards. Carmelo just doesn't fit down there in South Beach.
Mm-hmm. So where do you think? Where do you think Carmelo's going to end up?
Carmelo's going to take his time, but I got a feeling Carmelo's going to either end up in Chicago or stay in New York.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, we appreciate you calling in on Talking Sports. You hit us anytime, and thank you for being the first call on our 10th anniversary show.
You have a good one.
You too. Take care.
Now, the caller made some good points.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Carmelo's going to go to Miami either because, you know, like you said, Carmelo's going to want the ball and he wants to be the star.
You know,
he's not going to go anywhere where he has to be a role player.
I don't know if you would call him a role. If you're playing with LeBron, you know, LeBron is
The man.
the man. He's the number one option on any team. But if you think about it, if you look over the history of the league, guys have played for, you know, like in this case, Melo and these guys have played for 11 years now. LeBron's got a couple of rings. Wade's got 3. Bosh has got 2. Melo has none. Melo's made his money in the fact of...
And will continue to make it.
Oh, he's going to continue. My point is, at a certain point in a player's career, whether it be in all 4 major sports, money is not the primary object. The championship or the legacy of that player now changes. And sometimes a guy will play second fiddle to get that ring that they covet. And I'll bring up the 06 Heat. You look at some of the guys that were on that team back then, you had Shaq and Alonzo Mourning playing on the same team. You'd have never thought you'd have seen that happen during their careers. Gary Payton, a guy like that, went there. You go back to when the Lakers tried to pull it off, when Karl Malone, a top 50 player, went and played for the Lakers, along with Gary Payton, as I mentioned earlier, but they didn't win it. They lost to Detroit that year. But you've seen this pattern where guys get a little long in the tooth. They're still stars. But now it's like, okay, I've tried it for a decade, and I can't do it myself.
Well, Ray Allen's a good example of that. Well, kind of a good example.
Mm-hmm. I mean, think about when you speak of Ray Allen, think about Paul Pierce in Boston, and for so many years what he tried to do, and then when they bring Garnett and Allen in, that was the quote-unquote big 3.
Right.
And then what they do, they won a title, they were in contention for several years, after that. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Melo went down to South Beach because, quite frankly, number one, Dwayne Wade is truly on the downside of his career. He can't play full regular season and playoffs. We saw that evident.
That's 3 years.
That's it.
He's real close to the bottom of that bell curve.
You talk about Bosch, his game has kind of morphed from a post game to shooting all these outside shots because they're trying to get the lane cleared out for LeBron. So now you bring a Carmelo in, and you can put him on the baseline and Bosch out in near the 3 area. That'd be a pretty deadly attack. But the biggest issue that Miami has is not their starters. It's their bench.
Yeah, they have none. And as you saw at the beginning, they bench, what's his name, Chambers.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even start him.
Well,
in
there's
the
a good
game.
reason why.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't playing well. He
Right.
was playing terrible.
And he was having another one of those, as I talk about man issues. There's only 2 things that mess with a man: his money or his woman. His child support got quadrupled. And
That's what happened when you make that money.
but there you go. But once again,
Looked like he wasn't expecting it.
well, I don't know if he was expecting it or not, but my point is that when there's nothing wrong physically with an athlete, there's only 2 things that can get in their head.
Was his wages being garnished?
I don't know if they're being garnished or not. All I know is that
He get his check net pay due.
all I know is that Mario Chalmers has been consistent for his entire career in Miami, and for him to just tank it the way he was, as Mike just pointed, we've seen it. So
He might quit basketball just so he don't have to pay child
Oh, he's
support.
still not.
You know how they do.
forget you, I ain't even gonna
It
play.
ain't gonna work.
Right.
Going back to your Melo point, is Melo really that guy? Because he wasn't in Denver. He certainly hasn't been in New York,
Right.
where he will, step back and take that secondary role.
That's what the caller was saying. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
He's not gonna go anywhere where he has to be secondary to anybody. He's gonna want to be a star.
Right,
Now
but-
he can go somewhere like the Lakers because you already know that.
Kobe's on his way out the
yeah,
door.
Kobe on his way out the door. This would be my town to have.
And
So there's a good spot. You go to Chicago, you had to put up with Derrick Rose. In
Tom Thibodeau
Chicago,
won't put up with it.
and he still wants Rose to be the star. But who knows how long Rose is going to continue to play? Because he gets hurt one more time. It's time to put him on a trading block.
Put him on a chopping block. Forget trade.
Well,
Just chop him
it's
up.
time for him to go.
Right. Well, I think to your point about Melo and like you said about wanting to be the star, but I'll say it again. That experiment has failed. He was in Denver. He scored all his points. They could never get out of first round. He goes to New York. They get out of the first round for the first time in his career. But I don't think Melo's talents lend to him being the guy to carry a team to the promised land.
I don't know. Yeah, he's a good scorer.
And that's it.
He's a good scorer, but he's going to need help getting, like you said, to the promised land.
And that's the point.
Knicks just didn't have the help.
But the question is, will his ego allow him to be that?
Well, and I'll go back to, like I said, other stars. At some point, you have to check if you want that ring.
You would think.
If you want that ring, you do have to check your ego and say, all right, you know what? I might have to play second fiddle here if I want what I perceive to be kind of that icing on my legacy. He's been a great scorer. He's been a perennial all-star. So there's no question in terms of that ability. The question is, just like with every other great superstar, is your career complete if you don't have the championship? And I would say right now, if Carmelo Anthony goes to Miami, and here's the final thing, the East is easy. I hate to denigrate the other teams in the East, but if
Go west, young man.
you go west, man, that is a fight. Think about how good you have to be. Clippers, Warriors, Rockets,
Thunder.
OKC.
OKC, Spurs. That's just 5 teams right there. You go to the West, you're in a fight. And the old team, theoretically the old team, which is the Spurs, they're not actually old because you got a lot of young guys on the bench. you look at them and you're like, man, they coming back strong again next year.
They sure are.
Now, speaking of the Spurs, who's a free agent? Patty Mills. We talking about New York. New York is looking at Patty Mills real hard. Now, if you can convince Patty Mills to come to New York, does that play with the psyche of Carmelo to say, oh man, we got a young point guard, scorer, going back to the ego thing? I can go with him, stay here, get a championship in New York.
Do you think Patty Mills will leave San Antonio, though?
I think he will. And here's why I think he will. A 25-year-old, up-and-coming, Patty Mills is the old saying, strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah.
Patty Mills right now, in terms of his performance in the NBA Finals, made himself a multimillionaire
Oh, absolutely.
10 times over. He can get more money on the market.
New York got it to spend too.
There you go. And I think that's why. And imagine Patty Mills going to the city of New York, the Mecca, playing in the Garden, and what that does not only in terms of just financial security on the court, but also off the court. I'm seeing Patty Mills jettison the Spurs for greener pastures in terms of money. You know, he's I would say he's doing it in a reverse role. He already got his ring.
Yeah. What makes you think he don't want another one?
Yeah. Maybe he thinks he can get one and be going back to the ego factor. I've been playing behind Tony Parker for the past couple years. My time to shine. And I'm going to shine on the biggest stage, which is New York.
Now, next season, a lot of people have got the Spurs to repeat. Matter of fact, they're saying that the Spurs and the Heat may be in the finals again next year. That's if LeBron and them guys decide to stick around.
Right.
But, excuse me, you know, at the beginning of the season, I said the Spurs wasn't going to, I mean, not the Spurs, but the Heat wasn't going to be in the finals. I screwed that up.
Yeah. You did.
Well, I think
But we did.
the biggest question there is, does Tim Duncan walk away?
Nah. Parker says he expects Duncan to be around for another season.
Yeah, but Tim's got that degree in psychology, and he's real deep and all that.
And like you say, he liked to race his car.
He likes to race his car, just right up
What kind of car?
I-10.
What
He's
kind
got a
of-
dragster.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
One of the long
really,
ones,
yeah.
or
I think it's a funny car, actually.
I don't think he'd be in a short body.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit comment,
yeah,
right?
I couldn't think of what they call them there.
But if Duncan walks away, then quite potentially, will they still be the favorite in the West? No, because OKC's there. The Clippers are there. The Golden State's there.
Right.
If he stays, are they favorite? Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot will depend on how they draft, because we talked, I don't know, a month or so ago about, Adrian Payne up in Michigan State that fits that mold, if you will. And if he falls that low, it'll be an interesting offseason.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head about this Duncan coin flip, because that's where it really is. It is a Duncan announcement that could change the balance of power instantly, whether he stays or whether he retires. And I think that's the other thing. A lot of people are sitting around wondering what's going to happen in that arena, because now you think about, let's use Houston as an example. Houston's kind of quietly loading up. They got James Harden, Dwight Howard. There's a place I could see Melo sneaking to the West. You got a Jeremy Lin, Chandler Parsons. That's one of those teams that's really building itself for a nice long run. Maybe Melo sneaks down there. You know, if you're going to go West, at least go West and play with a team.
This got some talent.
That's it.
Yeah.
Kevin Love.
That's the big story in the offseason. Where's he going to end up?
Golden State has been dangling guys like Klay
Left and
Thompson,
right.
and they want Kevin Love bad. Kevin Love is a 20-10 guy for his entire career. He goes somewhere. I know the Lakers want Kevin Love. He's from LA.
He
You
played
pull him
UCLA, right?
right, and you pull him out of Minnesota and get him there. Bring home a hometown hero like Kevin
Get
Love.
some sun again.
Right. So, and then the final thing is the draft is next Thursday.
In Utah.
You know, and there are a lot of talented guys that are coming into the draft. You know,
Speaking of the draft, a possible number one pick broke his foot.
Maybe he broke his foot.
All right.
Maybe he didn't. Nobody's really sure.
Right. He's got a stretch fracture.
Anyway, they're gonna operate
Oh, that's
on
right.
it.
Yeah, you're right.
They're gonna operate on it. his draft stock drops considerably, or does he still possibly a number one pick?
He's not going to be number one pick. You can't spend the number one overall draft pick on a guy that number one won't play next year, because that type of injury, he's going to be out at least 9 months. So I don't think you do that. How far he drops now is based on the team in terms of who has the
Patience.
capital or patience to say, all right, I'll take you, but I know you won't play. And this goes back to the old conspiracy, but it ain't even conspiracy anymore. Lakers and Celtics are sitting at 6 and 7. I could see one of those franchises being able to pick him and knowing that he's not going to play, but basically that's going to be insurance and for the future. And if he comes back healthy, if he doesn't, well,
Who above the Lakers and the Celtics in the draft have a serviceable big man they're willing to live with for another year?
that answer is probably nobody other than Nerlens Noel was drafted last year by 76ers, and he didn't play at all because of the knee injury. So I don't see them pulling the trigger on him. Now, Cleveland has the number one pick, but think about this for a second. Cleveland picked Anthony Bennett last year from UNLV. That was a waste of a number one pick. I don't think they're going to do two in a row, especially going back to the conversation about LeBron. What is Cleveland trying to do? They're trying to set it up to entice him
To come back.
to come back. So
They just need a new coach today too.
Right. So they got Dave Blatt, who coached the Israeli team, and the Russian team, and he's also coached in Israel. I mean, he's supposed to be an offensive genius. So if you're Cleveland, and maybe you take the Andrew Wiggins kid, and add him to the roster in Cleveland, then maybe that entices LeBron to come. But it's just so many different scenarios now in terms of how this thing can play out. It's going to be, I would think, the first two dominoes to fall, what Duncan says he's going to do, and LeBron decision 2.0.
Well, and even the third domino, where does Kevin Love go?
Yeah. Yeah, so it is, I don't think we've seen an offseason set up like this to where different players and different pieces on the chessboard move this much in a long time.
Where's Kyrie Irving? Is that in Cleveland?
He's still in Cleveland.
So maybe Kevin goes and they drink a lot of Pepsi.
That might be a nice combo.
Really, I mean, we see it in the commercials.
Right.
Great
And
combo.
if you get those two together, once again, LeBron's looking like you got two young superstars.
All-stars.
And we can put these two, I don't have to work.
Nearly as hard.
No. But I still think the letter that Dan Gilbert wrote to LeBron when he left back in 2010.
It's still there. It's still fresh.
And how do you, I know this is a business proposition, but how do you emotionally get over the disrespect trail? Yeah.
You don't.
Not going to happen. Well, I would just say this to wrap it all up. Spurs, odds-on favorite to me to be back. I don't know if they'll win it, because here's the other thing that you got to look at. Going for the title, I think there's an extra motivation to win it. But keeping that title, that's tough.
Yeah.
You think about how long it took LeBron and them to get to that mountaintop and then win that first one and win the second one. So that's where you have that appreciation for what like the Bulls did in the 90s with the 3-peat, or the Lakers did with the 3-peat, or even going back to the 60s when the Celtics won 8 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know there was only 2 teams in the league.
But you remember going back to the press conference when LeBron, Wade, and Bosh were all sitting up there on stage, and LeBron says, "We're here to win
They said not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. That
Reality sets in.
is how hard it is. I mean, to get there. That's why I said earlier, 4 in a row, that's a heck of an achievement.
Reality sets in. You're like, oops.
Well, and if you can go, like I said earlier, if you go 10 times and win 5, everybody
described by someone. That's Magic Johnson's group.
But you know,
And people don't look at Magic as a loser. They look at the fact that in his 11-year career, he was in the NBA Finals 9 of his 11 years.
how many times we've done this a few times? I do about every other year, I think it was, about those great players that didn't win NBA championships, but were still great NBA players, Hall of Famers.
Right. Right. And that's why I said about the Melo factor. At some point, you say to yourself, I don't have too many years left.
I don't want to be like Barkley.
But
There you go.
Sitting on the panel and everybody messing with you because you don't have a championship ring.
Right.
Chuck's doing all right. But I just don't think that Melo's that guy. Because he hasn't shown anything to indicate that he is up until this point in time.
When you say that guy, meaning
To go, okay, let me get over myself for the benefit of the team so that we can win that championship. I think Carmelo's more a I guy than he is a we guy.
and that's what I'm saying. At some point, you got to look in the mirror and say, my eye has not worked.
As long as he with Lala, he had to do something.
No, he's doing something for Lala. That's that money back.
La 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 la
La la la.
Y'all stupid. All right, we gotta get ready to go to break. Before we do though, Lucy Lee, how do you pronounce her last name? Lee, 11 years old. She's on the verge, and she could possibly make the cut for the U.S. Women's Open.
And 11.
The last girl that almost did it, she was 10. This is back in 1967. Joe, you might remember that.
I was a cat.
Okay. Now she shot a first round 96. That's plus 20, plus 25. Now this Lynn, she's 11, same course. She shot a 78. That's plus 8.
First of all, to be 11 and to be playing any sport at a professional level.
Hit it straight.
Right. Yeah, because I can't.
Yeah.
I can't at 39. But how you can?
She's in the 6th grade. I think she's from San Francisco. She had 3 bad holes. She double bogey 1 hole, triple bogey the next. So, and I think she did a bad shot on one of them. Ball just rolled on off. You know how to just start rolling.
Oh, it's dry. Yeah, you saw that last week in the men's open. The greens were super hard and slick and fast and all that stuff. An update on that, you're talking about a young woman golfer. You remember 10 years ago when Michelle Wheat came out?
Right.
Remember, she's leading the open as of when we went on the air. So she really hasn't done anything
In 10 years.
since all that stuff came out.
Well, she went to school.
Well, right. I'm saying from a golf perspective. She hasn't won any majors or anything like that. And she was the next greatest thing coming.
Yeah, she's turned into quite a young woman.
Oh, yes, she has. She's leading the open. She is leading.
Michael, yeah, she has.
She's playing great golf.
Dirty old man.
What are you talking about?
You're dirtier.
What?
What are you talking about? I'm talking about the way she's playing golf.
That's what I'm talking about, dude. What do you think I was talking about?
Nothing like watching old men at the retirement home spar.
Alright, we're gonna go to break, but before we do, don't forget tonight from 6 to 8 o'clock p.m. at the American Legion Post 559. We're gonna continue the show Talking Sports Part 2.
2.0.
That's 2 in French, in case you didn't know.
Duh.
E-U-E-X. So,
I
and
thought it was D-U-H. Oh, that's duh.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about the great Tony Gwynn passed. What a loss for baseball. And when we come back, Mike got all the stats. He's going to fill us in on just how great he was.
Yes.
He even got Joe's speech.
Yeah.
wipe your mouth.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back right after these.
Talking Sports, WBCP 1580. Today is our 10-year anniversary.
We 10-year-old.
Man, we can go to middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Happy anniversary.
Big Bun just came in.
Welcome.
Big Bun has been around since the inception.
Yeah, he sat in on a few shows.
He used to be one of our guests. You know how they had a guest stars, guest hosts on Johnny Carson and shows like that.
Yeah, he would come in and sit in.
To the end, just come from behind the curtain. Oh, look who's here. Bundy. But we do appreciate his longevity as well. He like to say he's been around for 10 years. And
Yeah, he's been coming in and out and putting in his 2 cents.
Like you do. You do the same thing. You got 1.5 cents.
No, man, I got 5 cents.
that's
No.
50 cents. He's a
You
rapper.
can't spell 50 cents.
Well, he got 2 quarters rubbed together.
Fiddy.
50. 50 cents. But yeah, we want to give a shout out to Big Bun.
Yeah,
also,
you scoot on up here, Bun. You can join
I'm
us.
in the background.
he back here holding old Louisville slugger like Al Capone.
Got his head down.
Yeah,
You know what this? He must have got issues too, Joe. What 2 things mess with a man?
it's money or it's woman.
Which one, dude?
Money.
Yes.
And he put his head down.
He said money.
You ask him that, he's got a bat in his hand. You're
Right.
a great man.
Of course I am.
No, he's not afraid. He's
Trying
other.
to be blunt.
Right. Well, we're going to give a shout out John Towns, a.k.a. Dollar Bill. He's also been a guest host on Talking Sports.
A.K.A. Junior.
My brother, Bob Stovall,
Bob, Stovall.
has also been in here to hold it down. And so, like I said, we've had quite a few people sit in these chairs. And I think that's one of the great things about the show. I think sometimes you listen to other sports shows and other folks try to be experts. The name of our show is what?
Talking sports.
That's all we do. We're just talking sports.
That's right.
There's no right or wrong answer.
Nope.
It's just you talking.
We're not always right.
A couple times we didn't make mistakes.
Which year? This year?
This year I think we made one mistake.
Yeah,
Me or you?
I knew softball, you throw it up.
Besides,
There you go.
our show is more about opinion as opposed to fact.
Yeah, because facts don't matter on this show.
Not on this show.
Except right now. Because
Oh,
Mike Cox
Scooch on up here, man, or grab the mic.
is getting ready to talk to you about arguably the greatest hitter in baseball history. Tony Gwynn passed away at the age of 54 of cancer, and great loss.
Yeah, he had what, the saliva gland
Cancer,
something?
yep.
Yeah.
And he was a tobacco guy
Chewing tobacco.
for a long time. Well, before we get to Mike, we're going to get to these phones at 359-9227, 359-9227. Talking Sports, talk to us, caller.
Well, first off, congratulations. This is your twin brother.
Well, what's
How many
going
years?
on? 10 years.
10 years?
10 years.
You're like a dog year, is that 70?
Yeah, if I was a fly, we would have died, 3,560 deaths.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I want to chime in on this Tony Gwynn thing. I know you guys just started talking about it, but I'm going to leave here in a minute. But what a class act.
Correct.
Yeah, now think about this for a second, okay? Played in San Diego, small market, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
What would have happened if he played like New York or Chicago?
If he played in New York, if he played for the Yankees, let's put it that way, he'd probably be the greatest baseball player ever.
Yeah, without a doubt. But I mean, you think about, how, and the other thing too is, now think about this for a second, okay? Besides Derek Jeter, all right, how many ball players have played with the same team from the farm system to retiring? The days of the almighty dollar and things like that.
Right.
Now, I can't really think of anybody currently, like Todd Helton from the Rockies a few years ago.
Right.
That's about it.
And you're correct on that. You can count them on one hand in terms of the number, especially with free agency coming into play in the 70s. After that, once a guy did his 4 or 5 years in a particular location, it's time to go get that money.
Yeah, and like I say, I mean, you know, we got Rivera, there's, you know, I can't think of anybody right now that, you know, because you look at guys up their age right now, well, Ortiz was in Minnesota, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And let's see, who else? Can't think of anybody?
No. That's why we're getting ready to let Mike Cox fill you up with some of the greatest Tony Gwynn stats, just to solidify what you're saying about his greatness.
Oh, yeah. And the thing about it is, you know, I mean, he was what was right with baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Loyalty, and he represented every story you heard about what a class act he was, things like that. But I just want to say congratulations on 10 years. Do me one more favor. Keep on playing those O'Brien commercials.
We'll try to do that. I don't know if we'll do it the second hour or not. You know,
and then if you want to buy a car, ask for Bruce Andrew or Brian. Hey Joe, I can say that to you today because just spent some more money with you.
Fantastic. Right. Well, you keep spending that money, and we'll keep talking sports.
Insurance, yeah. Joe Stovall, 356-8300.
There you go.
There you go. But no, I'm just saying congratulations, guys.
Hey.
All righty, keep it going.
Appreciate it, Bruce.
And when do I get a guest host?
In the next 10-year anniversary.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll be there. Talk to you later.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Hey, dude, I got $250 right now. Can I come down and grab me a Toyota?
Yeah, they got them kitty cars out there.
You can get one of them Al Qaeda pickup
I got
trucks.
$250 right now. I want to come on down there and get me an automobile.
That's one thing I should have asked Bruce about. You know, every time you see on the news.
Don't they say you don't need no money?
Yeah. Ain't that what your date told you last week?
Hey, sorry, you might not need no money, but them 3 numbers gotta be above 7.
FICA.
Shit, you don't need no money.
5, 4, 3, 2.
The worst sound you ever want to hear from a car dealer is.
Well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can I call you Sam?
It's gonna take about $3,500 to get you in this car.
There's that buy here, pay here place you passed on the way up here.
There you go. I can refer you to somebody. But like I said, I was going to ask Bruce. Whenever you see the news and you always see terrorists in the Middle East.
Bruce don't look like one, does he?
No, but why are they always driving Toyota pickup trucks?
Because they get them from O'Brien.
Don't be saying that. NSA's listening to everything.
You go out there right now, you can't even get a kitty car. What that comment you just said.
They be
You
like,
might be in trouble when you leave out here.
Right. Oh, so you associate us with terrorism, sirs? No.
They just look good alongside the highway.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
Yeah, because I always wonder about that. Like, you never see them in a Ford or a Chevy or
Because they're American
Nissan.
made. They're American made.
So are Toyotas.
No, they're not.
Yes, they
All
are.
the ones they're driving aren't.
You know.
Just, you heard what he just said.
Well, he's talking about the ones they're driving. But enough about terrorism.
That's right.
The ones they're mounting the 50 cal in the back of.
Right. We need to talk about Tony Gwynn. Like I said,
Okay.
the greatest.
We talking sports.
Right. And he
What you were talking about sports.
arguably was the,
Come on, now. We've been doing this for 10 years. Ain't nothing gonna change.
greatest hitter of modern history. I've when I grew up, Rod Carew
Yep.
was, to me, that guy that, Rod Carew could get on base against anybody. Long, left-handed guy, slap hitter. Ralph Garr used to play for the Atlanta Braves back in the day.
When Sarge grew up, it was Ted Williams.
No, it was Babe Ruth.
Ty Cobb. Rogers Hornsby.
Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Y'all ain't right.
I know.
Life ain't right.
There you go. But Tony Gwynn, like Bruce talked about and what Mike is going to talk about, amazing hitter. And when you hear some of this information that Mike shares with
Can you read that?
Yes, I can read that.
you will be amazed at how good Tony Gwynn was. And to Bruce's point, if he played for anybody else, I think Tony Gwynn would probably be considered arguably, if not one of, the greatest baseball hitter of all time. Take it away, Mike.
Okay, we'll start with the normal, if you will, stats. His career batting average over 20 years, 338. 7 Silver Slugger awards, and 3,141 career hits. Now we'll go to the one that you found, Joe, to be most impressive. So I find it here. Let's see here. In 10,232 official plate appearances, the man struck out 434 times.
And how many plate appearances?
10,232.
Say that one more time.
10,232. And what I don't know is when they say plate appearances, are they also talking about official at-bats or just plate appearances? Because as we all know, sacrifice flies, fielder choices, etc., are not at-bats.
There you go. So add another
Be more.
1,000, 2,000 onto that.
Yeah. Struck out 434 times.
That's amazing.
That's the point for me. The hardest thing to do in any sport, round ball, round bat, contact.
Yeah.
The 5.50
Good eye.
all day long.
Continue.
He had 45 career 4-hit games. He only had 34 multi-strikeout games. Let's see, from...
You saw this more than once.
Yeah. What is this? Picking on me? Why are you in here?
You let him in.
Why is he here?
Because he's a part of the 10-year anniversary. That's why he's here.
He
Bring my
had...
jug. A mason jar.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, thanks. From 1988 until through 2001, Gwynn hit 302 in 2-strike counts. As we were talking about earlier, Miguel Cabrera is known as a
2-strike hitter.
2-strike hitter. Matt Carpenter is. I can't think of many other people who hit that well with 2 strikes on them.
But
go ahead.
The point on that, and you think about it, when a guy's got 2 strikes on him, the pitcher's got a great advantage at that point. And a lot of
That
guys,
depends on the count too.
2 strikes is 2 strikes.
It's not double.
It doesn't matter if it's a full count,
Well,
double deuces, 1 and 2.
0-2,
0-2.
2.5 strengths.
I mean, you can pretty much bet you gonna get a pretty wicked breaking ball, especially if you're early in the camp.
If it's a 0-2 or 1 and 2, yeah.
Right. You can best believe you're gonna get a pretty good breaking ball.
But
But
if
if you
you
get
look
to
up
2,
picture-
if you get to 2-2, 3-2, you can pretty much 50-50. You're gonna bring me a high, hard, fast one, or if he's been throwing his breaking ball pretty good during that game, you probably bet you're gonna get one of that. I haven't been a pretty decent 2-strike hitter myself.
What was your average with 2 strikes?
11.
It wasn't
Would that be a 0 in
302.
front of there?
11.
You know, so you I mean, you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, counts and situations
Yeah, it's true.
in baseball.
It's going on what the pitcher had.
They're not on how many men on base, where they at on base, etc., etc., etc. If you've ever played a game of baseball, you would know this.
Well, phone call 359-9227. We're gonna go back to the phones real quick. We're talking about Tony Gwynn and his amazing career. Go ahead, caller.
Okay, now like I said about Cars, but 2 other things you forgot. Number 1, he played in the National League. He didn't DH.
Well, he hadn't got to that, but he had it on his list.
And number 2, one more thing we forgot to talk about. Coached at San Diego State, didn't he?
Yeah, that's where he was actually on a leave of absence just recently because he was a coach at San Diego State.
Yeah, so I mean, he's the ambassador to San Diego, which by the way is a beautiful city. I've heard. Never traveled there, but you think about that. I mean, that's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna be, such a great ambassador for baseball, and he didn't have a ring.
Right.
Come close.
Never had a ring. All that. He's
Right.
had some pretty bad teams, too.
Oh yes, San Diego for years, other than what was the '84 Padres that beat the beloved Cub.
What was that? What'd you say?
That was Leon German's Gatorade, is that correct?
We're moving forward on that. And then what was the other time that San Diego?
89-ish?
Ken Caminiti years.
Yeah.
That was yeah.
88. So
But,
88, 89.
anyway, but that's just, those things, to the youth of America that listen to this show.
Yeah. Well, we hopefully youth and adults and seniors and everybody get a true appreciation for how good Tony Gwynn was, and as you said, just an ambassador not only for the city of San Diego but for baseball in general in terms of what he did. So I'm gonna turn it back over to Mike and let him finish
No, Sarge got something to ask Bruce.
reading off his stats
Did
for.
he ever win a gold glove?
Did Tony Gwynn ever win a gold glove, Mike?
I do not know off the top of my head. I want to say he did, but it wasn't necessarily, 19 of them or anything like that.
Right. But no more for the stick. But we do appreciate.
Hey, tell Bruce I got 250 on the car.
Oh, Bruce, real quick.
We're
Sarge
not talking cars now, okay?
Sarge said he's got 250 on one. He's gonna come.
Mr. Turner is online too. He wants to talk about his advertising.
Well, I'll turn it over to Sarge, and then he's gonna come down there, push haul or drag anything for 250. He's coming to get.
Yeah, okay, talk to you later.
All right, Bruce. More Tony Gwynn from Mike Cox.
Let's see here. He had 5 seasons where he had more stolen bases than strikeouts.
And if you know what Tony Gwynn,
Well, man, he used to be thin. He wasn't pudgy all the time.
right? But even when he was thin, he wasn't. You never thought he was Lou Brock.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He got a good jump.
In his 19-20-year career, he only had 1 3-strikeout game.
Wow.
Let's see. If he went 0 for 4 for the next 295 games, he would still have a career batting average over 300.
Wow.
Now, when people think of batting averages, you must take into account that, how they do the math. Tell us real quick how they do the math. Batting average.
What are you talking about?
Batting averages.
Number of plate appearances by hits.
Okay.
And you got to subtract out
Based on
sacrifices, bases on balls, fielder's choices, etc.
Some people may say, well, 300 is not very high.
If you consistently hit 300 in Major League Baseball, you're going to be a rich man.
Right. And that is because, we said earlier the hardest thing to do, round ball, round bat. But also, you also have to think of the odds when it's 1 against 9, when you're up to bat. You're up there as a single individual going against the 9 fielders. And you have to, as you talked about, anticipating what pitches are going to be thrown to you and the position of where the guys are playing. So all that comes into play, and to be able to calculate that better than 3 out of 10 opportunities, to me is more than fantastic. And you think about, we joked earlier about guys like Ted Williams and Ty Cobb, and I mentioned Rod Carew, and guys who consistently could get on base. And if you take a Tony Gwynn and put him on a team that had some power hitters in the lineup, if you could put him on a murderer's row type team with the Yankees or something of that nature, and make him the leadoff hitter, that team winning percentage probably goes up at least 25%, just because those extra runs from him being on base. So, back to Mike.
Tony Gwynn struck out less than 20 times in 6 straight seasons, with a career low 15 times in 95. 97 players struck out 20 or more times in Major League Baseball in May 2014 alone. He hit below 300 once in his career. It was his rookie year, and I think he only played in like 54, 55 games.
And what did he hit? Probably 280 or 290?
Probably. Never struck out more than 40 times in a season. Every other player who had a career batting average of .338 or better played before 1940, so Sarge can name them guys. He hit .394 in 1994, .368 over a 5-year stretch between 93 and 97. You just mentioned Murderers Row. Here's one for you. Gwynn faced, and all these guys are arguably Hall of Famers, Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, Pedro Martinez, and John Smoltz a combined 323 times. He only struck out 3 times. Never against Maddux or Pedro.
Wow.
What did?
Them Sergeant Rock like stats.
Are you hearing footsteps again?
Right. Are you talking about your stats at the bar? You know, you 0-2.
That's
He's
amazing.
checking the high score on the breathalyzer.
Oh,
Yeah, it's amazing. But, and the interesting thing is Ted Williams, Tony Gwynn, both from San Diego.
Wow. Maybe that's, you know, Tony Gwynn following in Ted's footsteps because, you know, they both were left-handed hitters.
Amazing.
The people that I've seen in my lifetime, which has been, you know, a short 20 years, that I would consider great hitters, with the exception of, and I realize that Pujols isn't necessarily an average hitter, but he was for 10 years a great hitter. Have all been left-handed players.
Right.
So, and you know, I've seen Boggs, I've seen Mattingly, I've seen Brett, I've seen you're talking about Rodney Klein Carew. You know how he got his name?
How to get his name?
His mom named him after the doctor who delivered him on the train in Panama.
Wow.
Played
Oh, yeah.
softball with his cousin for a long time. But anyway,
Good trivia question.
it is. We can say.
You know,
that
I think
later.
left-handers see the ball better.
Well, if you think there are fewer left-handed pitchers, fewer left-handed people, period,
Right.
in the world, so there's that alleged advantage of being able to see the ball
Yeah.
better. But even still, if you never strike out more than 40 times in whatever 400 plate appearances every year, over 19 years.
Right.
It's amazing.
The consistency that he showed. And I think, you know, Bruce talked about loyalty and staying with one team, and you never heard anything
Bad about it.
negative about Tony Gwynn. And, you know, the sad reality of his death was, you know, he was a
Chew tobacco.
chew. He's a chew guy, you know. And I know for years they've been working to, you know, they've outlawed it in terms of snuff or tobacco itself on the field.
Made the dugouts cleaner.
Yeah, dugouts cleaner, field cleaner,
Yeah.
you know. But
Shoes.
That's like picking up a grounder covered with tobacco spit.
Well, I mean, Joe, you talk about it, and Bundy's here, so I mean, you guys talk about it all the time. These little kids up in Douglas Park playing Little League and all that stuff that y'all are with every week. And you know, I mentioned this earlier off the air, but if any of those kids want to learn how to hit, just get a video of Tony Gwynn, because it's consistent, just right over the shortstop or between the shortstop and third baseman every single time, like you talked about last week. So.
yeah, well, like I said, I've always marveled at his ability, and you know, you just mentioned the word consistency, and I don't think and I've always said this about great athletes, sometimes guys are so good that you don't appreciate how good they are until they're not playing anymore.
Right.
And I think Gwynn is a classic example. When he came up to bat, I think your attitude was like, oh, Gwynn's going to get on. You know, like Bundy's 75% on base percentage. That means that 3 out of 4 times he comes to bat, he's going to get on base. So your attitude is, oh, okay, he's getting on. But then after his career is over and now that he's passed on, you then look back at his career, and that's one of the most amazing stats of any sport. To me, to get on base 75% of the time in baseball is the equivalent of shooting 80% from the field in basketball, where 8 out of your 10 shots go in the hoop.
You used to do that, didn't you?
Yeah, you know, back in the day, but, you know, I don't want to brag on
Okay.
that. You know, but, you know, I will for this one time. But I think that, you know, that or an NFL quarterback completing 80% of his passes is what that to me is equivalent to. Is that every time they touch the ball, something good's going to happen. You know, and so to Tony Gwynn, I just tip my cap, and anybody who understands baseball and watches baseball and appreciate it, you'll appreciate. And first of all, well done, Mike Cox. Kudos to Mike Cox for that's some good stuff.
All right, before we do the WBCP moment of silence, another great pass. Chuck Noll, coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers back in the day.
Mean Joe Green, Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swan,
Yep,
all them guys
yeah,
back
yeah.
in that day.
I heard they was a little pissed at Bradshaw because he
Didn't show up.
He didn't attend the funeral.
Yeah, well, Bradshaw's a different character. He's the only one who recently just threw Peyton Manning under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did.
So he made the comment about if you like your quarterback who's a good regular season, but can't win in the big one,
Pick Peyton Manning.
right?
So saith the man with, 4 Super Bowl wins?
Mm-hmm. And the only reason why he's got 4 Super Bowl wins is Jefferson Street Joe Gilliam got on that stuff. Because Terry Bradshaw
Was backup.
was the backup and
Yeah.
was never going to get on the field if Jefferson Street Joe didn't get on that stuff. So,
And with that being said, we like to give the WBCP moment of silence to Chuck Noll and the great Tony Gwynn. Hey,
man,
All right. Such great players.
23 years he coached the Steelers.
Yep.
That's back in the day when whatever team you...
He was the second coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tom Landry.
Yep.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Tom Landry for 28 years with the Cowboys.
Bud Grant.
Bud Grant was Viking. Don Shula was the Dolphins.
Well,
George Allen was
coaches had a lot more respect back then.
They had a lot more, but they also
They wore suits, hats.
Some wore suits.
Yeah, they
Coaches look funny now trying to wear a suit.
on the sideline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was old school.
Yeah. But even the new school guys understood in terms of being at least dressed appropriately, and now with all the athletic gear that they have out there, and,
Well, yeah, sponsorship. And this,
right?
that, and the other.
Except for Bill Belichick with the chopped up sweatshirt.
He trying to keep it old school.
Right.
Okay. Speaking of, while we still on football, Bill Belichick once got busted for illegal spying on the New York Jets. Now there's a story that says that the New England Patriots coach may have obtained a copy of the Jets playbook from Alabama coach Nick Saban, a close friend and an acquaintance of Rex Ryan. So what are they saying is Rex Ryan gave the playbook to Nick Saban, maybe just for he to, go over, maybe get some ideas.
Right.
Then Nick Saban, supposedly gave it to Bill Belichick.
Well, did he want Belichick to rewrite it or what?
I don't know. It says here in an interview with Sports Illustrated, Pepperdine, is that how you pronounce his name? He's the coach of Cleveland. Suggested that Belichick might have obtained the Jets playbook through Saban. At Wes Walker's wedding, Patriots quarterback Tom Brady bragged to Mike Smith, another former Jet assistant, that they may have a copy of the Jets playbook. Smith and Walker were college roommates at Texas Tech, where Smith currently serves as a co-defensive coordinator. It didn't shock me because Rex would give them give out like candy anyway, talking about the playbooks. Pepperdine told the website he gave out one to Saban, and I was like, don't you know Saban and Bill are pretty good friends? I have a feeling it's going to end up in New England.
I guess my response to that is, so what? If he's giving them out, as you just said, like candy, then either he's not concerned about privacy, or number two, whatever comes to him, comes to him. I think the other thing is, and our resident football coach in the back can attest to this, each offensive coordinator has their own terminology that they use for plays. So whoever the offensive coordinator is, what was that, 2012?
Well,
I don't think it's the same coordinator in New York right now in 2014. So quite frankly, I don't think Rex Ryan gives a rat's.
and you know what? I'm probably thinking that a lot of stuff is in there is pretty much vanilla anyway when it comes to the the preseason playbooks and that
Well,
sort of thing.
quite frankly, who else in the NFL cares? Because the Jets aren't really that good.
That and Bill Belichick has a history of cheating anyway. So
Yeah.
And you know what? If you ain't cheating,
you ain't trying.
you ain't trying.
Think about it. I mean, you sit up here, they scout you so much. They know your tendency. They know your plays, even on film.
Right.
So it don't matter. It's all about execution.
Right. I totally agree. That's why I said to me it's not a big deal.
80% of football is luck, and 20% is skills.
Well, but think about what he's saying. Picture this. I know the play's going to the right.
Right.
The play's going to the right. But what
Third
happens?
three, they always go to the right.
They go to the right. And now the play's going to the right, my linebacker slips.
Luck.
And he cuts back where that linebacker, where the void is made, and instead of 3rd and 3, he's in the end zone. And then you look at the picture, and you see the linebacker like this. Because he didn't slip and fail.
Or element of surprise. You take last year, Baltimore, the year they won the Super Bowl. It was 3rd and 32.
Mm-hmm.
They gave it to Rice.
They threw a play, threw it out in the flat.
Oh, yeah.
He got 33 and a half yards.
Right.
Element of surprise. Because they sent everybody off deep, underneath coverage.
And I think, like you said about luck and skill, we just talked earlier in the show about the Spurs. You don't think the Heat didn't know what the Spurs were going to run? It's like
About stopping it.
execution. If you can't stop it, I'm going to keep running. Great.
Like the 6 Packers.
Vince-
You know that sweep was coming. You know
Vince
it was coming.
Lombardi.
right.
There's going to be a seal here and a seal here. And then we're going to run right up this alley here. That's what they did. So I think here, this just adds more to the Bill Belichick cheating aura.
Persona. Yeah.
Persona.
All right. Other news: an attorney in a wrongful death lawsuit against former New England Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez wants to keep the team from paying him $3.25 million contract signing bonus. Yeah, if he wins his union appeal.
Is he even a member of the union anymore? Because didn't they fire him?
Yeah, I thought when you were in
When you were in jail, you're no longer a member of the
Well,
union.
when you get dropped from the team, you're not.
Right.
You would
Right,
think
right,
so.
right.
Anyway, these attorneys, they just trying to
They
keep.
might pay union dues still.
Yeah, they trying to keep owner
Might be paid
Kraft Enterprise LLC as co-defendant in the $6 million lawsuit, wrongful death lawsuit against the 2 guys that got killed in Boston. They don't want the NFL to get that money to him. If anybody gonna get it,
The lawyers.
the lawyers gonna get it.
Mm-hmm.
So they just covering their bases just in case.
Robert Kraft could go, when he gets out, have it come by, we'll write him a check.
And that's the old deep pocket theory.
Yeah.
When you sue somebody, you sue everybody. You sue the one with the deepest pockets, even if they're not culpable in terms of what happened. You still want to make sure that if somehow you can get them to pay.
Yeah, they say they did the same thing in the death of Odin Lloyd too. They're just covering their bases.
Mm-hmm.
Patriots, no comment.
Right.
All right, we gotta go take our final break. When we come back, did you read the story about Jim McMahon, about his problem with dementia and suicidal thoughts and all that? Well, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about that. And don't wait. Did you start playing the spots yet? No, he didn't. Don't forget tonight from 6 to 8 p.m. at American Legion Post 559 at 708 or 704 North Hickory Street.
The Legion over by the railroad tracks on Hickory by the post office.
There you go.
Or as they call it now, the L. Be there, 6 to 8 o'clock p.m. We're going to have some giveaway. We got t-shirts.
Game worn jerseys. Well, 2 of them, man.
I like to see Joe put that shirt on.
I can put this one on.
We got CDs.
You should have seen the first one they gave me. Old half shirt.
We're going to have cake.
I'd have had tassels on.
Pickens Chickens.
What you saying about train wreck?
Pickens Chicken is going to be serving up some vittles.
Pickens Chicken is kicking,
it's
fingers
kicking.
licking.
Matter of fact, she's down there. Matter of fact, I'm going to go check on the progress during the break.
See how them legs and Wangs is soaking up.
CDs there, and I don't know nobody in this CD. What kind of CDs you giving away, man?
Get out my box.
Them DVDs.
Look,
You don't know nothing about that anyway.
you don't either.
That's grown folk music.
That's what you call it now.
Grown folk music. Get out the box.
Look,
He's looking for some Lil Wayne.
Jay Gore. You know Jay Gore?
He's a jazz musician. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Put my stuff up.
Terry Woman.
Who?
We better go to a break.
Yeah, we should go to break.
She's a jazz musician.
Is a he.
Same thing.
Girl went there the weekend.
Right. It's her brother.
Anyway, we'll be back.
Welcome back. Talking Sports WBCP 1580.
Hey, folks.
Today's the day. 10 years. Just seems like yesterday.
No.
I turned and looked, and Sarge was standing there. And I said, "Oh my God, who is that?" Yeah, that was the look I had too. I was rubbing my head. I was like,
That's what I'm doing it now. I can't believe it.
And if you think about when Talking Sports first started, it was based on the 2004-2005 Fighting Illini men's basketball team.
Yeah, 'cause that's pretty much all we had to talk about.
A lot of people called in because there was a lot of, obviously, Illini fans. They went on that terrific run, 37-2 NCAA championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, we had a couple of lineups. Who we had? We had Luther Head in here
and D. Brown.
and D. Brown.
The day after I think that was the thing that impressed me in terms of Talking Sports is the day after the championship game. They were in here in the studio.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of times, when, we've talked about it before, how blessed we are to certain people we've got a chance to talk to, but I think that's what springboarded everything, because it's like, okay, certain people legitimize you in terms of what you do.
Right.
And I think that gave the show some credibility for D and Luther to come in here the day after the national championship game
And let people know how it came out. They were just milling around outdoors next to the barbershop.
That's it.
Dudes,
You want to come in?
come in, sit down, chat with us for a minute.
Man came right on in, sat down, talked, and the rest is history. So, we'll obviously talk about a lot more of that tonight down at the Legion, Post 559, North Hickory and Champaign. I think most folks are familiar with the location of the Legion.
If not,
Across the railroad tracks, over by the post office.
there you go. Can't miss it.
Can't miss it.
Fenced
Right
in.
there. Fenced in.
Big gigantic flag flying.
There you go. But come on down, enjoy food from Pickens Chickens, giveaways,
Yeah.
T-shirts, CDs,
Game worn jerseys.
and just in all sincerity, please come down and talk sports.
Yeah, that's what we're
know.
going to sit at the table, and we're going to be recorded by UPTV, and we're going to ask you guys, we're going to talk sports. You can sit around the table, or you can come up if you have a question or comment. We hope that you do.
Right.
Come up, have a comment, and talk sports with us.
Because that's our way of saying thank you for listening for 10 years and putting up with us and our bad jokes and sarcasm and ducks and everything, Jose Cuervo and you name it. But come on down. If we've never met you, just stop by the table. Say hello. Mike Cox, the originator of sports,
Yeah.
WBCP, when the station first started.
He's going to give us an introductory speech. Did I say that right?
No.
You said it the way you say it.
Yeah.
It was right for you.
Anyway, he going to give us say something.
Right now, okay.
He gonna get us say something.
Alright.
He gonna say, well, back in the day when WBCP first got started, I noticed that they wasn't talking sports.
And what happened?
I got 15 minutes on Saturday morning.
Wow.
Okay, you say that for later now.
Well, that's all I'm saying right now.
Well, get your pen and paper and take notes just in case.
I can remember.
'Cause I know you.
I can remember.
He's got more than 3 brain cells.
I got 5.
That's what he says now.
Now they might be down to 3 after the night, but he'll start the evening off with 5.
Okay.
And 3 listeners. Hey, did you notice Bunny came in wearing shoes like
Shit,
mine?
right? You say you rub off?
There we go.
Right.
Starting a fashion trend.
fluorescent.
So if nothing else, come down to Legion to see my shoes.
Even after 8, you'll see his
right.
shoes.
When they turn the lights down, you still know where Mike at. There you go.
Even out in the parking lot as I'm leaving when it's dark.
It's like, hey, them shoes are just moving by themselves.
Speaking of brain cells, and this is not a funny matter.
But a nice segue. But
I didn't mean to start it off like that. That was wrong.
2 white guys. Okay, I get it.
You never been slow.
But he's always been consistent.
Yeah, exactly. Jim McMahon, doing an interview, he talked about his days where he had to sit in his bedroom in the dark because the pain was so much excruciating.
If you'd had my shoes, you'd been all right.
See, there you go. Come on now. This is serious.
I'm serious.
Okay, I'll be Mike. Who are you?
Ooh.
I'm just reading. I'm the dude reading the thing. I'm glad I don't have any weapons in my house, or else I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be here today. It got that bad. Mm-hmm. He's opened up about his struggles with early onset of dementia, depression, and in a gathering with a small group of reporters Tuesdays, issues he believed were brought on by beatings he absorbed playing football. He is scheduled to be honored Wednesday in Chicago at the Sports Legacy Institute, a Boston University-based group that has been studying the effects of brain trauma in athletes and others. He said his suicidal thoughts are the things of the past thanks to treatment that drains spinal fluid from his brain. But he still fights the dementia.
Mm-hmm.
McMahon is one of several players identified by name in a federal lawsuit filed in California last month, accusing teams of illegally dispensing powerful narcotics and other drugs to keep players on the field without regarding their long-term health. Now, here's the thing that got me. He said that he has been diagnosed 3 to 5 times with concussions, and who knows how many more that went undiagnosed. That in addition to injuries to his kidney, broken ribs, an addiction to painkillers, and a broken neck that he said team doctors and trainers never told him about. He didn't find out that until about 5 years ago when he went for x-rays and MRI. And the doctor told him, hey, you had a broken neck.
Wow. Wow.
How do you not know you're in pain, though? That's what I don't understand.
Well,
Pill.
And I understand,
That free zone. And
all
the other
the
stuff.
narcotics and all that good stuff. And I understand the mentality that we're, pro football player back then. You come off the field, you lose your job, etc. But still, it just has. I would think there would become a point that you're just like, no, this stuff hurts.
watching thing on NFL Network the other day. This is the week of the 80s. They've been breaking down decades.
Right.
And it was the 87 Washington Redskins, team that Doug Williams was quarterback. And Jeff Bostic was the center.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, that was the year of the strike, and scab players played a few games earlier, and talking about, like losing your position. When the regular players came back, one of the scab players, the center, actually was put in the lineup. Richie Pettibone put this guy in the lineup before Bostic. And Bostic went to Joe Gibbs, wanted to leave the team. And they was, be patient. Rush Grimm gets hurt. Bostic slides into the lineup. They go on to play in the Super Bowl. But the part of the story, going to Mike's point and what you're talking about with this mindset, I don't know if you remember the game. Redskins played the Bears in the divisional playoffs in Chicago, bitterly cold, and Darrell Green returns a punt for a touchdown. Well, when he returned that punt, if you watch the video, as he's running, he's got his right hand clutching his side because he pulled a muscle. The next week would be the NFC Championship game, and they didn't know if Darrell Green would be available, and the only way Darrell Green would be able to get on the field is if he took the shot. Darrell Green had never taken a shot. He hated needles, didn't want it. And Bostic even said, the team looked at Darrell Green and said, you're taking that shot. Not management, not coaches, but the team, players. Said, We got a shot to go to the Super Bowl. You're taking that shot. Green took the shot, played in the NFC Championship game. He said by the fourth quarter the thing had worn off, but at that point, and they won the game 17-10, went on, won the Super Bowl. But that goes to what you're talking about, where back then, hey, Sarge, we need you. You know, and I think
There for you, man.
the group trumped the individual during that time period. And I think, going to your point about how do you not know, I think them guys knew they were in pain. But it goes to what you said, man, if I'm not out here,
There go your job.
my job is gone. And also the mentality of the team was, you better be out here. You're our, like McMahon.
Right.
You know, the Bears back then, especially during that, between 84 and 87, during their heyday, the Bears, McMahon's personality and mentality
Right.
fit that team. It was almost like a defensive player playing offense.
And he's the best quarterback the Bears have had in, 75 years?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I get that. It's just kind of weird because, well, this is making some assumptions I don't want to talk about, but he's a BYU grad.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think he'd know better.
And that's what I think.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that you got some Keith Van Horn. He was a USC guy.
Yeah.
Highly intelligent, great lineman, plays with a broken leg.
Yeah, and we talked about this before, Joe. Back then, players were half the size of what they are today,
Right.
and these issues were happening back then. It is why the NFL has taken up the position that it has now because of that.
You just made an excellent point. Think about in 1985, the popularity of William the Refrigerator Perry, because he weighed 300 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't a fat he was 300 pounds, he was mobile, he was agile. I think at that time there was only 2 or 3 guys in the league
Right, it was over 300.
that were over 300 pounds.
Now everybody, all linemen are.
All linemen, right. I mean, now, if you're 300, you're actually light. You got defensive tackles, guys weighing 330, 340, 350.
Gilbert Brown.
and can move.
And that's it. And so to your point about the size of guys, think about, the old physics equation. Force equals mass time acceleration.
Yeah.
And you
bang,
think,
bang.
You think of the force that guys are getting hit with today, because these guys can run faster, they're bigger, faster, stronger. What kind of injuries are generated from those collisions? So
I mean, even though the equipment has gotten better, the league has taken a stance as far as the penalties being called and this, that, and the other. You can't do this, you can't do that. But there's players are still getting seriously injured out there.
mm-hmm.
Well, and along the same lines too, the medicine has come so far from 1980 till now.
Right.
There's probably a better understanding of how some of that may be happening, whatever. But and nowadays, as we all know, a guy even exhibits one concussion sign, he's not playing. And yeah, part of that's because of the lawsuit. Yeah, I get that. But the advances in medicine and to go along with the bigger, faster, stronger thing, I think they balance each other out to a degree.
Right.
I remember watching, I think it was sometime during the Super Bowl hoopla, when they was telling about the helmets and this, that, and all the testing that, Riddles and whoever makes the helmets go through, and they showed how the helmet, when the helmet's on, and how when a man gets hit, how his brain rattles around in his skull.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they get concussions, this, that, and the other.
Did you play a lot of football?
Huh?
Did you play a lot of football?
Oh, I did.
No, his brain just rattled around inside his head a lot.
Anyway, I mean, to actually see one of those demonstrations,
Right.
it's ooh.
Wait, who is it? Is it Penn State that's doing a lot of helmet research?
Mhm.
It's a Big Ten school, I know that.
Yeah.
So
And I
And
think
could you imagine when we out there on the block, out there in, in the park, and we run around with no pads on.
playing a little tackling,
Yeah,
turkey bowl.
Yeah, we throwing body blocks, and And this was no equipment. Imagine how your head rattling around inside a helmet.
You have Sergeant Rock.
3. Start 2 in the possible. You're a bad space hand. But I think when you think of the legacy of football and how it's progressed, you know, and the old timers, you know, guys like, oh yeah, I played with a broken leg. Right? If you got your bell rung, it was a badge of honor.
Oh yeah, Woody Hayes.
Yeah, and that was, you know, that was the mentality, as you said, back then. Today, no. No, that's not a badge of honor. Your brain rattling around in the fluid that's supposed to cushion it, and it is jarred violently enough that it hits the inside of your skull. Not good. Now, last thing I'll say, because like I said, we only got a couple seconds left. We still understand that it's a choice. Now, the choice factor about the medication and not knowing the long-term effects of what the medication did to your body, I think that's why the lawsuit is necessary. But a lot of guys made the choice. You know, you talk about the freeze-on, you know, getting the Novocaine and, you know, the pain pills and et cetera. But I think the purpose of the lawsuit, to me, is to right the wrongs of the past, but also in terms of how information will be disseminated to the athletes in the future, in terms of if you get an injury, if you take this medicine, what does it do today, but also how does it affect you down the road? So,
all right, excellent. All right, kudos going out to first string team Creative Marble, who's in the Little League Final Four.
That's it.
For the first time since 1907.
Yeah, not the Cubs.
That's the Cubs.
That's right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Got the wrong team, man. But big applause, big congratulations to the coaches, Reggie Jones, Jewel White, Sean Green, who was just here, a.k.a. Bundy, Anthony Allen, and Derek Thompson. Done a fabulous job with the team. They won on Monday in their play-in game, and then Wednesday they played the number 2 seed in the tournament and beat them 4-2. Fantastic job. So now they're into the Final Four. So Monday at Zahn Park, doubleheader action on Monday. That's when the semifinals are played. And then if Creative wins on Monday, they'll play the championship game on Wednesday night. And if they lose, they'll still play on Wednesday, but they'll be playing for 3rd place.
That means somebody playing under the lights.
There you go.
Man, come on. That was the best time to play, especially when you was a shorty.
Right.
Play, we got 7 o'clock game. We under the lights.
That's right.
Yeah.
Where's Zahn Park at?
Zahn Park is at the corner of Windsor and Staley Road in Southwest Champaign.
How about a Y? Or
If you go west of the YMCA, you will run into Staley. Zahn Park would be to your left, so you would just make a left turn on the Staley, and then you'll see the parking lot right there.
It's off the road a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, because there's a youth football field out there too. So if any of you are familiar with where the CIYFL football field is out there off of Windsor and Staley, it's the same location. So plenty of parking out there. But come on out and support the kids from First String Creative Marble. They, like I said, they'll play on Monday. The time, I'm assuming, but you know what they say when you assume, but it is 5:30. If they don't play the early game at 5:30, they'll play the late game at 8 o'clock. But get on out, support them. I mean, just a fantastic job. We've done, you know, I've worked with First String for 16 years. And, you know, we've had previous teams way back who made it to, we had one team make it to the Final Four, got 4th, and then another team made it and got second runner-up. But it's been about 10 or 12 years since we've done that. And so I just want to tip my hat to those coaches and all those players and parents. And Peter McFarland, who's the commissioner of the league, who's been there since the inception. Fantastic job to all of them.
All right, all right. Well, this is going to do it for Talking Sports Part
Duh.
That's number 1 in French.
The AM edition.
Duh.
So be sure and come on out. We're getting ready to head. Well, not until a little later on.
You are.
We're about to head over to American Legion Post 559, 708 or 704.
North Hickory, across from the railroad tracks, over by the post office.
That's right. That's
Just off of Neal Street.
First of all, you saying it like brothers go put that in the GPS or something.
Yeah, they are.
They already know.
Oh, right.
Well, for those who do not know where the Legion is, and I bet you that there's somebody that's gonna show up there and did not know where it was. I bet you
go west on Columbia.
I bet you a soda right now.
Come up Market, make a left on Columbia, turn right on Hickory, and you're there.
I bet you a soda right now. Somebody's gonna show up tonight that didn't know where the American Legion Post was.
First of all, that is a false bet. You and soda do not go together. That's like oil and water.
All right, a beer.
Right.
All right, a
Hey,
beer.
thank you. At least make it a legitimate bet. I'll bet you a soda.
A beer. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So you said one person.
One person.
Got it.
All right.
Wait a minute.
Lift it up, sir. The camera.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. All right. Like I said, that's gonna do it for part. Be sure and come on out for part 2 from 6 to 8 o'clock p.m. Food. Carletta called. She going to pick the cake up at 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So we gonna have some cake. I'm getting ready to go down here and make sure Pickens Chicken got it going on with the vittles.
Hold up the giveaways.
Yeah, we got some T-shirts.
Game worn jerseys.
Yeah.
Will be autographed. Sell them on eBay.
If you got enough money.
And so that's
Start
all.
the bid at 200.
All right, we get ready to head out of here. So we'll see you at the American Legion Post 559. All right, cut.